Hello and welcome to the wheel world, and welcome to my little 1968 Lancia Fulvia that you see behind me. And this is a project car. It's a Fulvia Rallye 1.3 and it's currently off the road and needs a lot of work, but by the time it's finished it should be a little road racer. And I'll take you around it, show you a bit of the history of the Fulvia, some of the cool features, and I hope you enjoy it. So this is the car, and first thing you notice, I mean immediately, what a gorgeous looking thing. I think this car is a lesson in simple, elegant Italian design. I mean, look, you've just got the one line going across the side there, carries on all the way around, that little pointed front end, but there's nothing else going on. It's just a boxy little glass house on top of a lovely, simple design. And this is often regarded as the last true Lancia, because in 1970, Lancia were taken over by Fiat. They put a lot of cost-cutting measures in place, and the Series 2 cars that subsequently followed aren't really regarded as pure Lancias because they weren't as well built, they weren't as over-engineered and as crazily designed as this thing, because this thing's aluminium doors, aluminium hood, aluminium boot lid, so it's a pure Lancia in every sense of the word. And obviously the Fulvia is known for winning the World Rally title in 1972. So the Fulvia first came out as a little V4 engine front-wheel drive saloon car in 1963, and later morphed into this coupe as you see here in 1965. And this is on a shorter floor pan, 150mm shorter than the saloon. And yeah, this was just a layout designed for rallying basically. I mean, you got all that traction from front-wheel drive, that engine slung out the front end, and you wouldn't think it works, but being so front heavy, it gives it so much traction, you'd never think that it's so imbalanced with the weight. It really is a fantastic car to drive. Leaf springs all round. It's got one leaf at the front, transverse, two at the rear, gas monotube shocks. Have a look at the under bonnet of this little thing, because there's a couple of weird things going on. Bit sticky. Okay, and here's the little V4 1300cc, and as you can see, it's slung right ahead of the front axle line. I mean, if you see here the subframe, you can treat these top mounts as the front axle. The whole engine is ahead of the front axle, which is really unusual. I mean, often you get manufacturers putting it right up in the bulkhead to get that 50-50 weight, but Lancia didn't care, so it's right ahead of here, gives great traction. And you've got the transaxle there, 4-speed in the Series 1. Lovely oily change, as I said. Diff's really good. It's not a locking diff, but I mean, it's got 90 horsepower, doesn't need it. But yeah, and as you can also see, this is the V4, dual overhead cams, and it's leaned 45 degrees over to one side. And that's what gives this car the really low bonnet line that you see. I mean, if you look at my Giulia alongside this thing, they are the same height, and the Giulia is on much lower springs, like 3-inch lower springs than standard, and it's still the same height. And that's because Lancia's canted over the engine and allowed this lovely low bonnet line. And as you can see, the twin Solex Carbs, they're 35 Carbs, they are currently missing because they're off for a rebuild, because the car doesn't start right, it doesn't drive properly, so we're going to rebuild the Carbs, get them tuned on a rolling road, and hopefully that'll unlock this little zesty, revvy character that this 1300 has. Revs just over 6, and it's probably the key reasons as to why the WRC car did so well back in the day. So as you can see, we've got these grotty old steel wheels on there. Hubcaps have been taken off, but these are actually the standard wheel, and they come in this lovely little cream color. You can see it's been protected by the hubcap. And these were present on the 1.3 HFs, and they're lovely narrow steel wheels, and they come with these Michelin X's, which are really sought after. And I don't know if you can see, these have a really rounded sidewalls. Modern tires, they're all squared off because there's lots of roll stiffness, but with these things, they're softly set up, so you need to be able to lean on that sidewall to have that extra grip that they provide. So these give just that, so it's really important that these stay on there, especially with this big chunky sidewall, because Lancia tuned all the dampers, the suspension with that sidewall in mind, so to deviate from that is probably a mistake. And the fact that they're so narrow, they look like bike wheels, don't they? But it gives it a really delicate feel on the wheel, and it lets you slide around at low speeds, which is what old cars were all about. So it's an option to put the wider wheels on the 6Js with modern tyres, but I think these are ideal for a Fulvia. Okay, so as standard, these came on high pressure gas monotube shocks, and they're called D-carbons, and they're really sought after, the best shocks you can put on a Fulvia. But these have them, but as you can see, they're not doing a whole lot, because if I do this, yeah, there's not a lot of damping going on, is there? So they need to go. They're going to be replaced by gas monotube shocks by Spacs. They're adjustable, so it'd be nice to dial them into the UK roads, bumpy UK roads. So they're going to go. Probably going to rebush the whole car, because obviously 50 years old, all the bushes are going to be perished. It's going to make it imprecise. Leaf springs, they usually sag, so you can get those retempered, but I think ours might be okay. But if you can see, it is sitting a little bit lower on the rear, which is the opposite of what you want. Should be higher, so I don't know, maybe you have to retemper the rear springs. But other than that, it's not too bad. It's a bit of a shed to drive at the moment, but they always are when you start out, so hopefully we'll get into a little road racer soon. Okay. And one thing I just wanted to show you is the quality of Lancia in this era was just unmatched, especially by any other Italian marque like Alfa and Fiat and all that. These were little Mercedes, Italian Mercedes, and you can see that by the way this boot opens. It's a very simple thing, but just look how this hinge just clicks into place and just supports it. Look, it's just simple design, but it just feels really durable and really high quality, and just clicks back down. I mean, if my Giulia opened and closed like that, I would be chuffed, but it really doesn't, because this is a Lancia. This was the last true Lancia before Fiat took over, cheapened everything. So you get all these lovely touches, like the high quality little instruments inside, the metal vents. And yeah, I think it's about time we take you inside and show you around. And as if by magic, you join me inside the cockpit of this lovely little Fulvia. So what have we got then? Well, if you think about cars that were competing with this thing, small coupes like the Alfa 105, the GT Junior, stuff like that, they came with plastic wheels. They weren't that well built, but you forgave it because it's Italian. But this thing, this is an Italian Mercedes inside. I mean, this one's a little bit tatty, as you can see, but the quality of this Series 1 car still shines through. I mean, look, we've got this real wood wheel with the aluminium spokes. It's just lovely to hold, lovely varnish finish as well. You've got this real mahogany dash, and apart from that, all the switches just feel of such high quality. I mean, these are my personal favorite. These are called little piano switches, and you just flick them up and down and they just feel so solid, like they last forever. And it's just, the quality is what shines when you get in this, as well as the character, which is a rare thing in an old Italian car like this. And other than that, yeah, we've got this lovely four-speed box in the Series 1. Just so mechanical, and it feels like you're actually doing something when you're changing gear. So that's a brief look at the inside. And I think now what I'll do is I'll take you around the car, show you a couple of things that need doing, because there is a lot on this car, has to be said. Yeah, and I'll give you some future plans for this thing. Okay, so this car's from 1968. It's not the original paint, obviously. And if you look around it, you won't be able to see it on camera, but there are a lot of little blemishes around, a lot of filler, a lot of rust, little bubbles. The subframe looks a little bit rusty on the surface, so that all needs to come off. That's all going to be redone. We're going to respray it back to bare metal just to get it really, really pristine, because it's a Fulvia. Look at it, it deserves a proper restoration. So that's going to be done. Little trims like indicators, they're a bit faded. Inside, the dash panel needs doing. It's a bit rotten, old mahogany dash. And other than that, yeah, it's a never-ending list with these old cars. You always got something to do. I mean, you think they're finished and it just carries on and on. So this is what we're starting with. This is the base Fulvia. Hopefully in the future it will become a really mint, lovely to drive Fulvia, and we'll keep you documented on every step of the way, and we'll drive it and tell you what it's like with every improvement. And yeah, stay tuned, hope you enjoy it.